The woman is grossly incompetent. All she wants to do is focus on impeachment, which is just a little pipe dream she's got. And she can keep playing that game. And I've been told, and who knows if this is so, but I think it's so, I have pretty good authority on it, that she's using USMCA because she doesn't have the impeachment votes. So she's using USMCA to get the impeachment vote. And it doesn't matter, because right now you have a kangaroo court headed by little Shifty Schiff, where we don't have lawyers, we don't have witnesses, we don't have anything, and yet I just got to watch, and the Republicans are absolutely killing it. They are doing so well because it's a scam. It's a big scam. They're doing something that the founders never thought possible and the founders didn't want, and they're using this impeachment hoax for their own political gain, to try and damage the Republican Party and damage the president. But it's had the opposite effect, because you've seen the polls, and we're now the highest. I'm the highest I've ever been in the polls. You don't hear that on television because the news and the Democrats are one and the same.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to look at the latest new Q posts, which tell us about everything happening with the Ukrainian collusion hoax that's going on Capitol Hill. Q reminding us that FISA goes both ways, meaning we have been watching this whole time. Plus, new allegations coming forward as a young man is stepping forward to the FBI with bombshell accusations against former President Bill Clinton involving crimes against children. You guys are going to want to stick around to hear that, plus a whole lot more. So you guys are going to want to stick around and check this out. Hi, my name is Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. You guys know we have a big episode to get into tonight. I want to share all of this breaking information with you. We have people coming forward, going to the FBI with these bombshell accusations. Plus, we have new Q posts we're going to look at, and we have a whole bunch of other stuff we're going to talk about. But first, thank you to everyone who's hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when we put up new videos here. Now, there is new Q posts. We left off at Q post 3602. We're picking up at Q post 3603, and there's only one, but we're going to talk about that and some big news stories. So before we get into that, I always like to remind everybody to come back here, watch these videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. I talk about the suppression algorithm. I actually just did an interview with the Google whistleblower about all of this. And if you guys want to hear more from that, you should go back to this landing page, watch this video, and get caught up on all of these. Share them on your social media. If you're scratching your head, go, what is QAnon, the Great Awakening? I encourage you to watch this video right here and share it on your social media. But there is a suppression happening. There is an active effort to keep this content down, to suppress it, to keep it away from people. So that's why sharing it on your social media and just talking about it and getting these ideas out is what's more important than ever. And with that being said, I always like to remind everybody also to go check out redpillliving.com/justinformed. Link will be in the description. They're having a big sale. There are some great products over here I encourage you all to go read up on and check out, but they're the liposomal vitamins. They have the new Carbon 60, which is just a really great product that you should do the research on and see what kind of incredible things that it's been able to do. Also, you have the chelation cream and a bunch of other stuff. So I would encourage you all to go check out redpillliving.com/justinformed. You know, I love taking these. My family loves taking these vitamins and supplements, and I really think you guys should try them out for yourself. So a link will be in the description. Use the coupon code JUSTINFORMED to get an extra 10% off. Already there are some sales going on, so you guys can get some great deals over there, and especially ahead of Black Friday and Thanksgiving. You know, we got then we have obviously Christmas coming up, so this is a great place to go get some products, and you can help support the channel, so go check that out. Getting into the latest Q posts, there's a big post we're going to cover here, and it relates directly back to what we're seeing on Capitol Hill today, which we have some highlights for you guys here in the show. We're gonna present some highlights from the Ukrainian collusion hearings that they're gonna try to basically frame President Trump as this, you know, corrupt person who's out there trying to extort and bribe, when in reality it was literally the administration before him, Obama and Biden, who were engaged in those actual activities, and they actually admitted to it and bragged on you know, in front of a camera, in front of an audience, about how they did it. Joe Biden for that example. But this is a big post here. We're going to look at it. It's a clip from obviously Glenn Beck. Now, Glenn Beck's gone through, his time of one way or the other. He's been back and forth all over the place. But, wherever your stance is on him, I could understand it. But at this point, it's interesting to look at the information that he's going to share with us. Now, I'm going to play a clip that he shares on his show, which is an audio recording, which was released by the prosecutor who was investigating Burisma for corruption and was the one who Joe Biden called for being fired, right? In regard to Joe Biden's actual quid pro quo, where he demanded that this person was fired for investigating Burisma, the company his son was working for, with no experience as an oil executive making, or natural gas executive, making $80,000+ a month, if not more. Him and his buddy Devin Archer and Christopher Hines and their Rosemont Seneca Partners firm. If you guys don't know the name, if you're not familiar with the name Christopher Hines, well, you should be, because it's the stepson of John Kerry and the heir, one of the heirs to the actual Hines fortune. Hines catch up, because that's who John Kerry married. So you understand now how this is all connected, right? And I'm going to play this clip of this Artem Sitnik, who's the director of National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, and talking about how he helped Hillary, right? And that he didn't understand why the FBI was doing, or why President Trump was against the FBI, given that they helped him win the election and all of this crazy stuff. So you guys listen to this recording and let me know what you think, and then we'll go forward.
Я думаю, що так. Я ж йому теж допомагав. Не йому, а Хіларі допомагав.
Тоді ви там трошки шатнули, да.
Ні, це так пишуть.
Ну, мені кажуть, що Хіларі погано було, не дуже.
Wow, Clinton Foundation.
Ну, я наскільки пам'ятаю, ви говорили, що для нас навіть не було ближче Хіларі.
Ні, Трамп же ж він чисто, в нього внутрішні питання домінують над зовнішніми. А Хіларі це, це із тих політиків, що вони гегемонія Америки у світі. Для нас це так лучше. А для американців лучше так. Це те, що Трамп робить.
На зараз ці американські страховці, баба, мужик.
Ми вже прилюднили здання про Манафорта, якого посадили. Манафорт ж був керівник цього виборчого штабу Трампа. Ну, я ж тоді це сторонивий час, в тому числі за те, що проходили початку бухгалтерію, посадили там, що 80 років телефону. І для Трампа барабан, тому що система працює чітко. І коли це були вибори, за неділю до виборів, FBI поновив розслідування відносно Хіларі. Вони рейтинг упав на 7%, і Трамп на тяжко переміг. Я так не можу зрозуміти, що Трамп воює з FBI, і коли його доганяють. Якби не FBI, то він не був президентом. Вони Хіларі погасили рейтинг на 7%.
So there you have it. So what you heard there was the head of Anti-Corruption Bureau in Ukraine basically saying that they helped Hillary out by going after Manafort, and that the FBI helped to get President Trump elected by exposing her. And, just this is all very, very contextually important to understanding why they're going after President Trump and how they've gone after President Trump with this whole Ukrainian thing. You see, obviously, we all know this, what the Democrats are most guilty of, they project onto others. That's a form of it's one of their tactics that they use, basically. It's basically a part of a psychological warfare in order to try to basically distort the message and keep the American people confused and unable to understand how, our whole, both sides are shouting that they work for Ukraine, right? When the reality is there's only one side where there's mountains of evidence, and that is the side that shows what happened with Hillary and what happened with, obviously, Ukrainian oligarchs and the Bidens and all of that. and Joe Biden sitting down and saying, oh, I had him fired and I would threaten to withhold funding unless he was fired. The prosecutor who was looking into his son's company, where his son magically got a job right as Joe Biden took over foreign policy for Ukraine. So there is so much there that it's a joke when you watch these hearings on Capitol Hill, and I think that's what it's meant to kind of tell us. Q says phones were present. FISA goes both ways. Information warfare. Q. So obviously this conversation sounds like it was recorded on somebody's cell phone, possibly a cell phone just sitting in the room. Well, wouldn't that be fascinating if that piece of information was collected through intelligence surveillance and then shared publicly in order to expose the fact that their supposed anti-corruption bureau is basically another facet of the Democrat Party in their massive network of corruption and influence peddling. So, look, you guys can make of this what you will. I just thought it was interesting and worth pointing out. A few other things I want to talk about. Obviously, the FBI is investigating the possibility of criminal enterprise in Jeffrey Epstein's death. And what was interesting to me is, you know, looking at how the FBI is expanding this investigation into what the criminal enterprises that may or may not have been attached to Jeffrey Epstein, as far as sex trafficking and human trafficking and you know, human rights abuses and other things, extortion, bribery, that kind of stuff. Nobody understands why Prince Andrew came forward with this interview, because it didn't answer any questions. It probably left more than questions than answers. And he made very, very important missteps, like not even mentioning the victims and saying, you know, I'm sorry that there are people who are victims of, you know, these kind of abuses, but it wasn't me. No, he just basically said, I was at home eating Pizza Express. I don't know what you're talking about. And I thought about it, and I remembered there was this video of these two children. I've showed this on my Twitter. I haven't really talked or shown it here on the channel, I don't think. But these two children who have these very disturbing stories about, you know, the way that their parents were involved in these satanic cults is the best way you could put it, for lack of a better term. And that these cults were involved in ritualistic abuse, which was then used as a form of control. But I mean, the kids were basically just saying that they had experienced these awful things. And, you know, there's been courts that have looked at it, and there have been rulings, and people have thrown this information out because it's kids and they're unreliable, as they would say in the courts. But it reminded me of that, because one of the things they say in their actual video, where they have this little interview, is that one of the places where they were taken for this alleged abuse was a place called Pizza Express, which I guess is a chain of pizza shops. And the fact that he makes this reference in the interview got my brain kind of working. And I thought, wow, what if he chose to do this interview as a threat to everyone else who he knows is compromised, saying, if you guys bring me down, I'll bring everyone down, right? So in this coded way, he got on this interview and talked about Pizza Express, talked about how it's impossible for him to have been involved in this stuff, cites some random medical condition that prevents him from sweating, even though there are multiple pictures of him basically sweating like a pig with a very young, seemingly underage women. And, you know, it's just, to me, it was a fascinating thing. And I kind of looked at it, and I had to take a double look at it. And I went, wow, you know, maybe there's more there, as we have this story coming out, a graphic story where, you know, I'll leave a link to this if you want to go watch the actual interview. But a man is coming forward now, a 28-year-old man is coming forward and has gone to the FBI with information about his claim of abuse by Clinton and others when he was a child, as a part of a syndicate of child abuse, which he says was involved with satanic ritualism and many other very disturbing things. And I'm not going to go into the details, the graphic details of what his allegations are. I'll leave that to you guys if you want to go read this. And there's actually a video attached to this where it is an interview that it talks about, you know, what this person went through. It's about 30 minutes. And they say there's going to be more information coming forward later. But this is a big deal, because what this article claims is that the person making this allegation, this man who was a child at the time of these abuses taking place, has gone to the FBI's New York field office and has conducted an interview with them providing the chilling details about allegedly having these terrible interactions with Bill Clinton on a yacht in New England when he was a young boy. Now, according to this article, the FBI officials who are involved with this case say that they're treating this guy as a victim, and they're looking more closely into his links with Bill Clinton and then others who have been alleged in this or implicated in this. Apparently, they decided to go forward to the task force that was put in charge of the Jeffrey Epstein case as far as investigating sex trafficking claims and sexual assault claims. Now, this is attached to the NYPD. We all know what's connected to the NYPD, correct? The Anthony Weiner laptop and the file that was marked quote unquote insurance that the FBI knew about, and the NYPD went in and found when they actually executed their search warrant against Anthony Weiner in the sexting case against him for sexting with an underage girl. So this story just came out, and I thought, as soon as I thought of this, I thought of these older Q posts, right? Remember when Fox News was reporting out of the Inspector General's report, there were notes taken that talked about Hillary Clinton and the foundation and crime against children. And Q referenced this directly from page 294 of the official OIG report. And then it says meeting between Comey and Coleman on October 4th. So this is Coleman briefing Comey about this Clinton Foundation connection to crime against children. And it says Coleman told us that he could not recall his briefing with Comey. Coleman's notes from October 4th contain the following entry. Anthony Weiner sick, unrelated, Weiner sick, texting 15-year-old, sexually explicit, 9/26, federal search warrant, iPhone, iPad, laptop, initial analysis of laptop, thousands of emails, Hillary Clinton and Foundation, crime against children. And then Q puts the plus there. We know what that's referring to. That's referring to the House of Saud or the Saudi royal family, as noted here in Q Post 133 from back in November of 2017, where he made it clear that there were three major families in control of these rackets that were controlling power inside the United States government: the House of Saud, the Rothschilds, and the Soroses. And we've known for a time that that's been the case. Again, they talk about from this article, I believe, or from the OIG report and the subsequent reporting, we asked Coleman about these notes, and he told us that given their placement in his notebooks, the notes would most likely represent information he was briefed on first thing in the morning by his subordinates in the Criminal Investigative Division. Comey told us that he did not recall the briefing by Coleman reflected on his calendar. We asked Comey if this briefing could have been the time in early October that he recalled being told about the connection between Midyear and the Weiner investigation. Comey stated, it's possible that this is what is knocking around in the back of my head, but I really don't see the frailty of memory from having done a lot of work. At least in my memory, it's much more, and this is just all a joke. We showed Coleman's notes from October 4th to Comey. Comey did not recall being briefed, and he says he didn't recall a bunch of times, and Q says these people are sick and that patriots are in control and the world will know the truth. So is this a part of the truth coming out? You know, as they try to impeach the president, try to remove him from office, it seems that just more of these allegations come out, which have to be taken seriously. You know, if you're going to take people like, I don't get, the mainstream media, I guess I get why they do it because they're corrupt and complicit. But, they take a person like Christine Blasey Ford 100% seriously. And then you have this allegation coming forward from this young man who, really has absolutely nothing to gain by making these allegations and everything to lose. And they don't take it seriously for 1 second. It's just disgusting. But we'll see. We'll give them time. Maybe they'll pick up on this like they did Epstein, and we'll give that some time. Now, let's go back here. I want to report on one more thing. We do have new Q posts, which we're going to talk about here quickly. So right here, the newest Q post says November 19th, 2019, and this is from February 11th. This is Q referencing one of his older posts saying, Step 4, open new fake and false investigations as chairman of the House Intel Committee to retain disinformation campaign designed to keep liberal Democrat Americans on board to regain power and prevent prosecution. Executive time. Q. Pre-public awareness, like clockwork. D1 through 6. Enjoy the show. Q. So obviously this is just another example of the predictive nature of what Q does here, because we know what they're going to do. We know their moves before they make them, and we know how they're going to try to extend this out and try to go after the impeachment, try to use it to sway the 2020 election, how to smear President Trump and make him give him a bad public image and perception. But we're working to counter that narrative, because the truth and objective facts will prevail. No matter how many lies and how much disinformation these leftists spew through their owned and controlled media outlets, we are going to continue to talk about stories that are coming out that matter to the American people with regard to what is happening. And that is something that is important here for us to do. But with that being said, you guys can put this one together for yourself. It's pretty self-explanatory. And we're going to basically wrap it up here with I want to play this cut together of all of these different interactions today on Capitol Hill, where they're exposing what's going on with this hoax that is being perpetrated against the president. So you watch this cut together, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
I thank the ranking member. Colonel, I want to thank you for your service and sacrifice to our great country. This afternoon, your former boss, Mr. Morrison, is going to be sitting right where you're sitting, and he's going to testify. And I want to give you a chance. I think we're bringing you a copy. I want to give you a chance to respond to some of the things Mr. Morrison said in his deposition, page 82 of the transcript from Mr. Morrison. Mr. Morrison said this: I had concerns about Lieutenant Colonel Vindman's judgment. Among the discussions I had with Dr. Hill in the transition was our team, its strength, its weaknesses, and Fiona and others had raised concerns about Alex's judgment. When Mr. Morris was asked by Mr. Castor, did anyone ever bring concerns to you that they believe Colonel Vindman may have leaked something, Mr. Morrison replied, yes. So your boss had concerns about your judgment. Your former boss, Dr. Hill, had concerns about your judgment. Your colleagues had concerns about your judgment, and your colleagues felt that there were times when you leaked information. Any idea why they have those impressions, Colonel Vindman?
So, Mr. Jordan, I would say that I can't say what why Mr. Morrison questioned my judgment. We had only recently started working together. He wasn't there very long, and we were just trying to figure out our relationship. Maybe it was a different cultures, military culture versus.
And Colonel, you never leaked information?
I never did, never would. That is preposterous that I would do that.
So I want to know first, how many other people are in that group of people you communicated with outside the 4 individuals I just named?
Yes, Mr. Jordan, on call readout, certainly after the first call, there were probably a half a dozen or more people that I read out. Those are people with the proper clearance and the need to know. In this case, because of the sensitivity of the call, and Mr. Eisenberg told me not to speak to anybody else, I only read out, outside of the NSC, 2 individuals.
2 individuals?
Das Kent and one other person.
And you're not willing to tell us who that other individual is?
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
The gentleman suspend. Counsel.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask you to enforce the rule with regard to the disclosure with regard to the intelligence officer.
Thank you, counsel. You know, as I indicated before, this committee will not be used to out the whistleblower. That same
Mr. Chairman,
necessity
can you first stop the time so I don't lose the time?
Will persist. You are recognized again, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chairman, I don't see how this is outing the whistleblower. The witness has testified in his deposition that he doesn't know who the whistleblower is. You have said, even though no one believes you, you have said you don't know who the whistleblower is. So how is this outing the whistleblower to find out who this individual is?
Mr. Jordan, this is your time for questioning. You can use it any way you like, but your question should be addressed to the witness. And your question should not be addressed to trying to out the whistleblower.
Well, okay. Colonel Vindman, there's another thing Mr. Morrison told us in his deposition. He said he was not concerned about the call itself. He said there was nothing illegal or improper on the call, but he was concerned about the call leaking, the contents of the call leaking. He said this: he was concerned how it would play out in Washington's polarized environment, how the contents would be used in Washington's political process. Mr. Morrison was right.
Excuse me, Mr. Jordan, could I get a page?
Page 44. Mr. Morrison was right. The call leaks. Whistleblower goes to Chairman Schiff, staff. Then he runs off to the lawyer, the same lawyer who said in January of 2017 the coup has started against President Trump. The one thing the Democrats didn't count on was the president releasing the call transcript and letting us all see what he said. They didn't count on that. Transcript shows no linkage. The two individuals on the call have both said no pressure, no pushing, no linkage, but security assistance dollars to an investigation.
If you watched the impeachment hearings last week, you may have noticed a disconnect between what you actually saw and the mainstream media accounts describing it. When you saw three diplomats who dislike President Trump's Ukraine policy discussing second-hand and third-hand conversations about their objections with the Trump policy. Meanwhile, they admitted they had not talked to the president about these matters, and they were unable to identify any crime or impeachable offense the president committed. But what you read in the press were accounts of shocking, damning, and explosive testimony that fully supports the Democrats' accusations. If these accounts have a familiar ring, it's because this is the same preposterous reporting the media offered for 3 years on the Russian hoax. On a nearly daily basis, the top news outlets in America reported breathlessly on the newest bombshell revelations, showing that President Trump and everyone surrounding him were Russian agents. It really wasn't long ago that we were reading these headlines. From CNN, Congress investigating Russian investment fund with ties to Trump officials. This was false. New York Times, Trump campaign aides had repeated contacts with Russian intelligence. Also false. Slate, was a Trump server communicating with Russia. This was false. New York Magazine, will Trump be meeting with his counterpart or his handler? This was false. The Guardian, Manafort held secret talks with Assange and Ecuadorian embassy. Also false. BuzzFeed, President Trump directed his attorney to lie to Congress about the Moscow Tower project. All of these were false. There was no objectivity or fairness in the media's Russia stories, just as a fevered rush to tarnish and remove a president who refuses to pretend that the media are something different from what they really are, puppets of the Democratic Party. With their biased misreporting on the Russia hoax, the media lost confidence of millions of Americans, and because they refuse to acknowledge how badly they botched the story, they've learned no lessons and simply expect Americans will believe them as they try to stoke yet another partisan frenzy. In previous hearings, I've outlined 3 questions the Democrats and the media don't want asked or answered. Instead of shedding light on these crucial questions, the media are trying to smother and dismiss them. Those questions start with, what is the full extent of the Democrats' prior coordination with the whistleblower, and who else did the whistleblower coordinate this effort with? The media have fully accepted the Democrats' stunning reversal on the need for the whistleblower to testify to this committee. When the Democrats were insisting on his testimony, the media wanted it too. But things have changed since it became clear the whistleblower would have to answer problematic questions that include these. What was the full extent of the whistleblower's prior coordination with Chairman Schiff, his staff, and any other people he cooperated with while preparing the complaint? What are the whistleblower's political biases and connections to Democratic politicians? How does the whistleblower explain the inaccuracies in the complaint? What contact did the whistleblower have with the media, which appears to be ongoing? What are the sources of the whistleblower's information? Who else did he talk to? And was the whistleblower prohibited by law from receiving or conveying any of that information? The media have joined the Democrats in dismissing the importance of cross-examining this crucial witness. Now that the whistleblower has successfully kick-started impeachment, he has disappeared from the story, as if the Democrats put the whistleblower in their own witness protection program.
So I hope that video tied a lot of things together for you as far as, what happened today at that hearing and what was really uncovered. But that's going to basically wrap it up. A few more things before we go. Obviously, come here, watch these videos, share them, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to think about everything that we've talked about here on this channel today. Also, don't forget to go check out and support the channel over here on Brave by downloading the Brave browser. It's a great tool. It's an asset for you guys to go get. It's free. Use the link in the description. When you download it using the link in the description, it'll help support this channel. And it's a great product. It's just like any other internet browser that you use, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, or whatever, but it blocks ads and it makes your internet experience that much better. So I encourage you to click the link, download it, install it, and run it on your computer, and it will save you so much time, and it will make the internet so much easier to use that I think you guys are going to love it. Plus, it's got a built-in VPN and a Tor browser. So for those of you who want to get more technical, it's even a better tool for you. So definitely go check that out. Use the link in the description to download the Brave browser today. Now, also, don't forget to come find me over here on Twitter at JustinFormedU, a place where we can connect. The official Twitter page for Just Informed Talk. Also check out JustinFormedNews.com. Links to the Q stuff, different news sites, breaking news, and of course the latest videos from the channel here. That's JustinFormedNews.com. And don't forget, there's a couple other ways you can help out, both financial, Patreon, Patreon.com. When you come here, it's a monthly donation. It's a crowdfunding website. So you set it and forget it. You're helping create content on this channel. You guys have kept this channel alive in the face of all the demonetization and what they've done at Google to try to destroy this channel and make it impossible for me to come here and do this every day full time. And you guys have made that possible. So thank you for your support. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up. If you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation, links to all of this and everything we've talked about will be in the description of this video here. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today, I want to talk about a very powerful verse, and this is out of the book of James, and it talks about what faith really is about, and how it's supposed to be supplemented. And I want to share these verses with you. It's out of the book of James, chapter 2, verse 20 through 24. And it says, "Foolish man, are you willing to learn that faith without works is useless? Wasn't Abraham our father justified by works when he offered Isaac his son on the altar? You see that faith was active together with his works. Scripture was fulfilled that says Abraham believed God and it was credited to him for righteousness. And he was called God's friend. You see that a man is justified by works and not by faith alone." And the reason I share that is pretty simple. I just want to remind you all out there that yes, we are called by God to have, incredible faith in all circumstances, because God is what's most important in our lives. But we have to supplement that faith through work. And what do I mean by work? I mean going out in the world and helping others, being kind to others, spreading the gospel and sharing with others that they have eternal salvation through the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross for their sins. Remind your friends and family, your parents, your spouses, your siblings, your children, that they are loved by God, and you have to actively do that. Nobody's going to do it for you. And just having strong faith in your heart is good, but you have to supplement that with the faith or with the works of a good, righteous life. So that's my advice to you, and I hope it helps me, so I hope it helps you. And I hope you share that with others and remind yourselves that we are meant to share that faith in God with everyone through the works of our lives. And that's my message to you. So that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I want to say thank you guys for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. Remember, don't forget to come here, click the subscribe button if you haven't, and hit it, punch it, tap it, bop it, twist it, headbutt it, turn it. Anyway, hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed, and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.